Hello, you retards and screwheads. Welcome to another edition of my show. Today I'm going to change direction. I'm not going to cover the news. Instead, I'm going to go back to uh, having a partner with a personality disorder. I call it narcissism. But what do I know? Listen, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just a guy who lived with a woman for 25 years, and to me she seemed a little off. And when I say narcissism, I don't mean like, they're arrogant or they're overly confident or they're full of themselves or that kind of, I'm talking full-blown nut. Like living in a fantasy world kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that just crushes the life out of themselves, and also the people they're around. So it's not a Donald Trump kind of narcissism, like I know the best words or I'm going to win bigly, that kind of thing. It's not that. It's about when you have an illness so bad or a personality disorder so bad that it really affects your orbit and yourself. All right, so this one, I want to talk about financial abuse and domestic theft and the narcissistic female, the narcissistic wife. Now, I use the word narcissism. Maybe I shouldn't even use it. Maybe I should say crazy lady syndrome, right? You got these cluster B personality disorders. You have psychopath, histrionic, borderline, and narcissist. And they all seem to bleed into one another. And like I said, what the heck do I know? But I want to go on to financial abuse. Some of the stuff I put up with in my 25 years of this marriage. All right, so let's go back to when my oldest son, this is my second video. If you want to catch the first video, you can. This is the second video, and I don't want to rehash everything. I will say this, I have two kids, and my oldest son and I and me were living together, separate from my youngest son and the wife. And one day after he's finished school, my oldest son, I go to pick him up, and she's there. So I nod to her, because we're separated. And this was maybe 10 years ago. Maybe even further, 11 years ago. I nod to her, and then I get him, and we're walking on the sidewalk and talking about the day, heading toward the car, and she comes up to me and curses at me. Now, these women use such vile language. I'm not going to tell you the language they use, but I'll tell you, you can fill in the blanks. One word sometimes begins with the C. The last word begins with a T. And you got two letters to fill in. One word might begin with an M. The last word begins with an F or an R. MR, right? Fill it in. Every vile word you can imagine, right? And they just have so much rage. So she curses at me, and she throws a bill at me. And what she had done was she had run up a credit card. Luckily, I had a max limit on my credit card of about $1,800. She throws me an $1,800 bill. The credit card's in my name. So I got to pay it. Problem is, I don't have $1,800. And this smile, this evil smile, like, I can't do the smile. I'm not as evil as she is. Knowing that she's got me in a bind, and she just ran out my credit card. It's domestic theft, right? She stole from me, basically. Yet there's nothing I can do about it because we're family. No court's going to listen or anything. Especially in South Korea. That's where I live, by the way. You can catch that in the first video if you want to go watch it. But, you're sitting there she's a Korean, again in my first video. She throws this bill at me. I can't pay it. And I could pay it, but there won't be enough for me and my oldest son to eat, right? And so anyway, what do? I have to go to one of my coworkers and say, look, can you loan me this money? I'm broke, and the Wicked Witch of the West just handed me an $1,800 bill. And I said, trust me, I'll pay you back. We'll write it down. I'll sign my name. And this coworker was very nice. And she said, no, look, I'm giving it to you. You pay me back when you can. And I did pay her back eventually. It took 6 months, but I paid her back. And it's so humiliating when that happens to you. You say, well, why do you put up with it? Well, let me tell you people something. When you're married at first, you don't have any kids, that's the time to get out. If you start seeing these signs, that evil little smile, let me tell you, they have an evil smile, these people. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's this malevolent smile they have. And I'm going to go into another video later, not this video, but I'm going to tell you this. I used to think this little Korean woman, I'm not lying to you, I used to think she was possessed by a demon. That's how evil, right? And the smile was demonic. And it was so humiliating to go hat in hand and say, look, let me borrow this money. Anyway, when you're married at first and you have no kids, that's the time when they start showing this type of behavior. That's when you go. After you have kids, it's a different story. She was living with her golden child, my youngest son, and she would use him as leverage. She'd say, you don't want to pay the bill? You want to go back to America? You'll never see your kid again. Leverage. And you'd say to yourself, I can't do that. I'm not going to leave him with her. I can't do it to him. It would be cruel and inhuman. And leave him with her family? I can't do it. So that was one instance. Another instance was when we moved to China, and I had a job teaching a rich kid school in China. A little off topic, but you go through the parking lot, and people were driving Maseratis and every type of top line automobile, they were just super rich Chinese people. And the pay was okay, it wasn't bad, and I had a beautiful apartment. And she left us. She left us 2 times in China. And my oldest son by then was in America. He had had enough. And I was with my youngest son, who was not being the golden child. He was snapping out of that. As they get older, they start realizing there's something wrong with this person. And the last time she left us, she drained the bank account. So I had like $100 in the bank. Well, $100 to my name to last for about 10 days before the next paycheck. $100 in a foreign land, China. And luckily China's cheap. We got by okay on $100 for 10 days, But it was just ridiculous. This is going to happen to you. They're going to, they have problems with their emotional regulation. They're going to fly off the handle, and maybe they'll drain your bank account. I'm just telling you, if you're married to one of these people, watch out. Now, my biggest mistake in life was the second time when she left, COVID came, and I had to get out. I didn't want to spend any time in China with COVID. With the lockdowns and the rest of it. So that's when I should have gotten on the plane with my youngest son and flown to America. But I didn't have a job lined up. I did have a job lined up in Korea. So I said to my youngest son, hey, let's go to Korea and eventually she'll leave us. Then it'll just be me and you and we'll have a somewhat happy life. And she did. She left about a year ago. Now, before she left, you guessed it, she drained the bank account. And that was the last time she did that, because now she doesn't have access to anything. I don't give her a dime anymore. And again, you get a humiliation thing going, because you gotta, I had to call my mom. I said, look, can you tide me over? I had hidden away like $500 or $600. I said, I think I can get by on it, but can you send me $2,000? I'll pay you back. And she did. She sent me $2,000. Right? And when these women do that to you, they're doing it because they think you deserve it. In their mind, you're causing them to suffer, even though you're not doing anything to them. They're dissatisfied with you. So they're saying, so to them, they're always the victim. Right? I'm dissatisfied in this marriage. This marriage is hell. So I'm justified to run up the credit card in his name. Or this marriage is hell, so I'm going to drain the bank account. Now, her last move before she drained the bank account was she comes to me one day and she says, now, luckily I got rid of all my credit cards, but she had credit cards in her own name. She says to me, I owe $20,000 and I need your mom to send it to me. I owe $20,000 on these credit cards and it's your fault. First of all, who knows what she owed? Because these women are horrible liars along with everything else. They never tell the truth. I have no idea what she owed. I said, you're out of your mind. You're not getting $20,000. She said, but this debt is because of you, because of all the nice things I bought you and everything. And I'm looking around. Let me tell you guys something. I haven't had a new pair of underpants in 5 years. They got holes in them. I haven't had a new pair of underpants in 5 years. I bought a television called Electroman. It's one of these cheap Chinese things, generic. That was about $300. So I'm looking around going, $20,000. Where's the $20,000? I look at my kids' clothes, and there's nothing close to $20,000. We don't have anything. Nothing. So that's when she left and drained my bank account. Because I deserved it. She's not happy, so I deserve, she's dissatisfied. She doesn't like being married to me, so I deserve all the abuse. I deserve everything I get in her mind. And I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm going to tell you something. With these women, crazy lady syndrome, again, I point out the 4 things. They all bleed together: the narcissism, the psychopathy, the histrionic, and the borderline. There's another. That's a beauty. Right? Trust me, that's a real beauty there, a borderline. But they all bleed into each other. And if you're married to one of these people and you have kids like me, strap in, because you're in for a heck of a time, my friend. A heck of a time. And if you don't have kids, as fast as you can. Anyway, that's another edition of my show. I hope you liked it. Anyway, I'm going to go. God bless you. If you like this, press subscribe. If you like this, press like. If you want to become a member, press subscribe. I'm up to 35 members. Anyway, God bless, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.